Here's a fact that will surprise you. Walmart, the biggest store chain in America, has already closed multiple supercenters in Chicago, Portland, and Atlanta. These are giant stores that served thousands of people every week. When a company that brings in more than $600 billion a year shuts down busy locations, you know something serious is happening. And it's not just them. In the past year, major retailers have announced more than 4,000 permanent store closures. Target has shut down locations in major cities. Best Buy has closed over 100 stores as fewer people shop for electronics in person. Family Dollar is shutting hundreds of locations after years of rising costs. These aren't slow declines. These are permanent exits from places that used to be packed. For decades, big chains could count on steady crowds, steady sales, and steady growth. Today, they're fighting rising expenses, weaker sales, and customers who would rather tap a phone than walk through a door. It's not one problem. It's all of them hitting at once. What you're seeing now is a major reset of America's retail landscape. So let's dive in. Amazon Fresh grocery shopping from tomorrow. When the first Amazon Fresh opened in 2017, it felt like the start of something huge. You'd walk in, the doors opened on their own, and the store almost felt alive with all the sensors and cameras. No checkout lines, no waiting, just grab what you need and leave. For a moment, it really seemed like this was the future of grocery shopping. But that future didn't last long. Amazon is now shutting down several Fresh stores in California and Virginia, 5 locations in total. And the reason is simple: tiny margins. Most groceries only make 1 to 3% profit. That's so small that one unpaid basket can wipe out the money a whole day of customers brought in. Add rising theft and higher operating costs, and even with that self-checkout and tech, Amazon couldn't keep the stores alive. And they're not alone. Even Walmart is starting to feel the pressure. Walmart, America's one-stop giant. Walmart is huge, more than 4,600 stores across America, with some locations pulling in over 10,000 shoppers a day. It's basically its own ecosystem. You walk in for milk and leave with tires, socks, and a kayak you didn't plan on buying. For many towns, Walmart feels like a landmark, but even a giant can bleed. Walmart has been shutting stores in 6 states, and California is getting hit the hardest. The reason is the same story you keep hearing, just louder here. Organized retail theft. Not one person slipping something into a jacket, but groups clearing whole shelves in under 2 minutes. In 2022 alone, national retail theft passed $112 billion, and Walmart called certain stores unprofitable for years. Police departments admit they're overwhelmed. Some cities deal with hundreds of calls a week, and many never lead to arrests. By the time officers arrive, the crews are long gone, and the wave continues. Macy's, where holiday magic began. Macy's has been part of American life since its first store opened in 1858 on 6th Avenue in New York City. Back then, it was a small dry goods shop, the kind with creaky wooden floors and shelves stacked to the ceiling. Over the years, it grew into the department store most people know. Bright escalators, perfume in the air, holiday displays big enough to stop you in your tracks. For many families, going to Macy's felt like a special outing, not just a shopping trip. But that long story is hitting a hard chapter. Macy's is now closing 66 stores as part of its bold new chapter strategy. And these aren't little side locations. These are the big anchor spots that hold entire malls together, spread across 22 states. You can really feel it in Southern California. Stores at Broadway Plaza in Los Angeles, Sunrise Mall up in Citrus Heights, Westminster Mall, New Park Mall in Newark, Mission Valley in San Diego, Downtown Plaza in Sacramento, even the one at Corte Madera. All of them are going dark. And when an anchor store like Macy's leaves a mall, everything around it starts to fall apart. Foot traffic drops, smaller shops lose their customers, and entire wings of malls go dark. It's tough watching a place that once felt so steady fade out. Walgreens, the corner pharmacy of America. For years, this chain was the place you went for everything: last-minute medicine, a birthday card, a bag of chips on the way home. It felt like every neighborhood had one on the corner, but that long run is shrinking fast. Walgreens has announced plans to close 2,150 stores by 2027, nearly a quarter of its entire footprint. And these aren't just empty buildings shutting down. In many towns, losing a Walgreens means losing the only pharmacy nearby. Experts warn this will create what they call pharmacy deserts, especially in rural areas and low-income neighborhoods. The reasons stack up: lower insurance reimbursements that barely cover the cost of filling a prescription, rising labor and security expenses, and shelves that are simply more expensive to keep stocked than they used to be. Add in younger shoppers who'd rather tap a delivery app than wait in line, and the old corner drugstore model starts to crack. Even Walgreens' own CEO said many locations are not performing at sustainable levels, which is corporate speak for, the math just isn't working anymore. And the cuts keep spreading. Even Advance Auto Parts is feeling the squeeze. Advance Auto Parts, the DIY auto giant falters. When you walked into an Advance Auto Parts back in the day, you could smell everything at once. Motor oil, rubber, a little dust from old brake pads. It was the kind of place where you'd see your neighbor picking up wiper blades, or a dad showing his kid how to read the parts catalog. But that world is shrinking fast. Advance Auto Parts is shutting 523 corporate stores and 204 independent locations. That's hundreds of red and yellow signs going dark. And the reasons are piling up. Cars last longer now, well past 150,000 miles if you take care of them. People buy spark plugs and filters online because Amazon ships them in a day. And electric cars? They only have about 20 moving parts compared to nearly 2,000 in a gas engine. Fewer parts means fewer sales and fewer reasons for drivers to walk into a store. When even a parts store can't survive the shift, you know the pressure is spreading. And the next retailer feeling that squeeze is one you see almost everywhere. Dollar General. Dollar General, when discounts disappear. Dollar General has always been the store people lean on when money feels tight. It's the place where a few crumpled bills could cover dinner, cleaning supplies, and maybe a little treat from the dollar aisle. Nothing fancy, just bright lights, stocked shelves, and the quiet comfort of knowing you could actually afford what you needed. But lately, the cracks are showing. This year, Dollar General closed 27 stores and opened only 9, which is a big shift for a chain that used to expand faster than anyone else. Costs keep creeping up. Freight, wages, utilities, you name it. And those extra pennies hit harder in rural towns where every dollar counts. In some communities, losing a Dollar General feels like losing the last store that cared enough to stay. And if this is where things stand for America's budget lifeline, the next retailer on our list shows a completely different kind of struggle. Jo-Ann Fabrics, crafting dreams, closing shops. Jo-Ann Fabrics was the kind of place you wandered into without a plan. You'd hear the soft snip of scissors behind the counter, smell cotton and warm glue, and see aisles stacked with yarn that looked like it belonged in your grandmother's living room. It wasn't just a store. It was where school projects got saved, Halloween costumes got fixed, and hobby dreams got a little bigger. But that world is fading fast. Jo-Ann is now planning to close all its remaining stores, ending a long run that started back in 1943. The craft world changed faster than anyone expected. Cheap mass-produced decor replaced homemade projects, younger shoppers turned to quick digital hobbies, and the cost of running big stores kept climbing. Even loyal crafters felt the pull of online deals and next-day shipping. Losing Jo-Ann feels like losing the last quiet corner of old-school creativity, and the next retailer on our list shows this shift hitting the tech world too. Best Buy, the electronics store revolution. Best Buy used to be the place you went when you needed the latest gadget or a new TV. The store smelled faintly of plastic and electronics. Speakers hummed in the background, and you could hear carts sliding across tile as people tested headphones or picked up laptops. But that world is shrinking fast. Best Buy is closing 24 stores last year, with 15 more shut in 2025. The replacement cycle for electronics has slowed. TVs last 10 years now, and phones barely need upgrading every couple of years. On top of that, big manufacturers like Apple and Samsung are selling directly to customers, cutting out the middleman. Even a giant like Best Buy can't keep up. Kohl's, the store you knew. Kohl's opened its first store in 1962 in Brookfield, Wisconsin, and quickly became a staple for American families. You could grab everything from weekend jeans to birthday gifts all under one roof. The smell of new clothes, the shuffle of shoppers, and the clink of hangers made it feel like a small-town hub where everyone stocked up for life's little needs. It stood out for being reliable and practical, a place where moms, dads, and teens all found something useful without fuss. That familiarity, though, is fading. Kohl's is now closing 27 underperforming stores. Even with smaller formats and online tie-ins, the core problem remains. People don't shop for clothes the old way. Online retailers, fast fashion, and delivery apps have taken over. As these stores vanish, plazas feel emptier, and the ripple hits surrounding shops and casual dining chains. Next up on the list, a place many of us went for burgers and fries, Red Robin. Red Robin, where family meals once lived. For decades, Red Robin was the go-to spot for burgers, bottomless fries, and neon signs glowing over family booths. You could smell the grill before you even walked in, hear the clatter of plates, and feel the vinyl seats stick a little in summer. It was more than food. It was a casual hangout for birthdays, Friday nights, or lazy weekends. But times have changed. Red Robin is now closing up to 70 locations, which means roughly 3,000 workers will lose their jobs. The sit-down burger model just doesn't compete with fast casual chains, delivery apps, and people who want food fast instead of waiting under a flickering neon sign. Same-store sales have dropped more than 12% over the past year, and those familiar booths are going dark one by one. And this isn't isolated. Next, we'll see how convenience culture is changing, starting with 7-Eleven, where midnight runs aren't as simple as they used to be. 7-Eleven, when midnight runs end. When 7-Eleven first popped up, it felt like magic. Grab a soda, a pack of gum, maybe a hot dog, all at 3 a.m. The little bells above the door jingled as you walked in, and the smell of coffee mixed with frozen pizzas hit you instantly. Convenience was king. But that king isn't so untouchable anymore. 7-Eleven is now closing 444 locations across North America. People aren't running in for last-minute snacks like they used to. Delivery apps and online services have replaced impulse buys, and even emergency runs don't require a car trip. The stores that once hummed with the sound of late-night shoppers are going dark, leaving empty parking lots and flickering open signs behind. Workers, hundreds across affected regions, will feel the pinch, and the neighborhoods that leaned on these quick stops will notice it too. Foot Locker, sneakers, malls, and ghosted halls. Foot Locker used to be the go-to spot for sneakerheads. The first step inside meant the smell of rubber and leather, racks lined with the latest Jordans, Nikes, and Adidas, and the sound of basketball highlights on muted TVs overhead. Malls felt alive with teens and adults hunting for that next drop. Now that vibe is slipping. Foot Locker is shutting over 400 mall stores by 2026. That's almost 10% of what they used to make, and same-store sales even dipped 0.3% last quarter. The reason? The mall culture that built this brand is fading. People aren't wandering from store to store anymore. They're checking apps, trading on Discord, scrolling Instagram drops, and buying online. Physical stores can't keep up. It's like watching a culture you grew up with quietly walk out the door, and this shift is just getting started. JCPenney, from bankrupt to bare walls. JCPenney opened its first store back in 1902 in Kemmerer, Wyoming, and quickly became the go-to spot for Americans hunting everything from clothing to home goods. Walking inside meant polished floors, the smell of new fabrics, and cash registers chiming as families browsed through aisles looking for a deal or just discovering something new. For decades, it anchored malls and shaped how people shopped. Times have changed. After its 2020 bankruptcy, JCPenney is now closing 8 more stores. One of them, in Peoria, Illinois, will affect roughly 120 employees as the location shutters. The move signals that the old department store adventure is fading fast, replaced by algorithm-driven online shopping where discovery comes from a screen, not wandering aisles. As the aisles go quiet in places like Peoria, the ripple spreads across American retail. Next up, Party City faces its own wave of closures, showing that even the places built for celebration aren't immune. Party City: balloons, costumes, and closed doors. Party City became famous for its huge Halloween events and celebrity tie-ins, like launching Avengers costumes when the movies hit theaters or rolling out Star Wars masks for new film premieres. Walking in meant aisles packed with glittery capes, rubber masks, and walls of balloons that smelled faintly of latex. For decades, it was the spot where kids and adults grabbed everything for birthdays, holidays, or last-minute costume emergencies. But now the lights are going out for good. Party City is closing every single store, shutting down after decades of celebrations. People just aren't walking into specialty shops anymore. They're clicking online, picking up supplies at Target, or using delivery services. Stores that once buzzed with kids giggling and wrapping paper rustling are silent, shelves stripped bare. The employees who helped families make memories will soon leave for the last time. Party City's fall is another sign of how much retail has changed. And next, another classic American staple is starting to feel the squeeze: Domino's. Domino's Pizza. From oven heat to empty seats. Domino's used to be everywhere, the pizza place you could count on after a late movie or for a last-minute dinner. The smell of baking dough, tangy tomato sauce, and melted cheese was a little comfort that hit every town. For years, its delivery model seemed bulletproof. Phones ringing, scooters buzzing, drivers darting through rain and snow. But now, Domino's is closing up to 205 locations. Rising labor costs, higher ingredient prices, and pushback on delivery fees are squeezing profits. On top of that, ghost kitchens and meal kits are stealing customers who used to rely on quick pizza runs. The stores you walked past for a slice are shutting down, and drivers are losing hours along with the familiar buzz of orders. Even a giant like Domino's can't dodge the shifting habits of hungry Americans. Next up, Big Lots, another retailer struggling to keep its aisles full and its lights on. Big Lots, where middle class finds faded. Big Lots was once the place you went when you wanted a little bit of everything without thinking too hard. Walking through the aisles, you'd get hit with the smell of pine from seasonal decor, the clink of plastic bins, and a low hum of bargain hunters scanning shelves. For decades, it thrived on middle-class families looking for deals on furniture, snacks, and home gadgets. But that story has hit a rough patch. After bankruptcy and being acquired, Big Lots is closing many locations across the country. It never really figured out what it wanted to be, and the middle-class shoppers it depended on are shrinking. Stores that once buzzed with weekend shoppers now echo with empty spaces and fading signs. Even longtime fans feel the emptiness as aisles disappear and familiar layouts change overnight. Up next, Denny's, where the 24-hour diner model is under pressure. Denny's, midnight coffee and hash browns end. Denny's has been the go-to spot for late-night pancakes, the smell of coffee thick in the air, and the clatter of dishes echoing past midnight. For decades, it felt like a safe constant, open when the bars closed, when the road was dark, or when you just needed breakfast at 3 a.m. The booths had stories written in ketchup stains, and the jukebox hum of orders never really stopped. But that era is fading fast. Crime in some neighborhoods has made overnight shifts dangerous, and insurance costs have tripled in the last decade. Combine that with declining foot traffic and changing eating habits, and the math doesn't add up. Denny's is planning to close 150 restaurants by 2025. Booths that once felt like second homes will go dark, and the smell of pancakes will linger only in memory. Even the diner that never slept can't stay awake forever. And Denny's isn't the only brand rethinking its place. Forever 21, fast fashion struggles. Forever 21 used to be the place you ran into on a Saturday. Arms loaded with sequin tops, jeans stacked in your cart, and that buzz of teenagers hunting the next trend all around you. The bright lights, the music pounding through the store, the smell of new clothes mixed with perfume. It was a ritual. But trends move faster than even the fastest retail chain. Forever 21 is closing up to 200 stores, losing ground to Shein and Temu, where you can order almost anything cheaper and have it shipped straight to your door in days. The mall hangout vibe that made it feel alive is vanishing, replaced by scrolling and clicks. The racks that once promised instant style now stand empty, and the sound of chattering teens is fading. Fast fashion's heartbeat is moving online, and Forever 21 is learning the hard way. TGI Fridays, themed dining fades. TGI Fridays was built to be a slice of Americana. Big red and white signs, bar stools lined up for happy hour, and tables filled with families and friends celebrating birthdays or winding down after work. For decades, it was the place you went for consistent food, flashy drinks, and a little theater with every meal. But that era is slipping away. 36 locations have already closed, and 9 more are on the chopping block. The themed, uniform experience just doesn't draw crowds like it used to. Diners want something authentic, local, and Instagram-ready, not the same neon and menu you see in every mall. Rising costs, changing tastes, and delivery apps eating into dine-in traffic have turned the formula upside down. Empty booths now echo the decline of the chain's heyday. And this change in taste isn't just about food. Sports retail is facing its own shakeup. Dick's Sporting Goods, gear stores shrink. Dick's Sporting Goods started as the place every weekend warrior went to gear up. The smell of fresh leather, rubber cleats, and new tennis balls filled the aisles. Families grabbed soccer cleats for the kids, hikers picked out backpacks, and adults eyed the latest bikes or home gym equipment. For a while, it felt like every fitness goal could start here. But the surge is fading. 35 stores are closing this year, with each location losing hundreds of thousands in revenue as foot traffic drops and online competitors cut into sales. The pandemic fitness boom is over, and people are spending more on experiences, rock climbing gyms, cycling tours, or streaming workouts, rather than racks of gear. What once felt like the heartbeat of mall culture now echoes with empty racks and silent checkout counters. Now, even charity and thrift stores are facing the same challenge. Goodwill, donation bins grow quiet. Goodwill got its start back in 1902, founded by Boston social reformer Edward Filene and his assistant Amy Morris Homans. The idea was simple but powerful. Take donated goods, sell them at low prices, and use the money to provide jobs and training for people trying to get back on their feet. Americans flocked to the stores, hunting for bargains and vintage finds, and some locations even earned awards for workforce development programs, showing Goodwill was more than just a thrift store. It was a community lifeline. Now, that story is hitting a rough patch. 13 California stores are closing, part of a larger trend of struggling locations. Donations have slowed, online platforms snatch the high-value items first, and some stores are losing tens of thousands of dollars each month. Hundreds of employees are affected, and neighborhoods are losing a trusted resource. Even a charity with over a century of history can't escape the retail shakeup. While Goodwill falters, fast food chains are feeling the pinch too. Jack in the Box, burgers behind the glass fade. People love their quirky mascot, the late-night tacos and drive-thrus that promised a burger in under 90 seconds. From 1950s, Jack in the Box was a regional staple, a go-to for road trips, college runs, and quick dinners after work. Now, the chain is feeling the squeeze. Several locations have closed after the stock took a dive, and the push for ultra-efficient drive-thrus has left some restaurants struggling to keep up. Analysts estimate these closures could affect hundreds of employees across the West Coast, while profits slip into the low millions. Rising competition from national chains and delivery apps is eating into what used to be a reliable business model. As Jack in the Box shutters doors, casual dining is also under pressure. On the border, casual dining versus fast casual. For years, Americans flocked to the restaurants for sizzling fajitas, margaritas, and the smell of fresh tortillas sizzling on the grill. From its first opening in Dallas in 1982, the border was a weekend ritual, a place where families and friends gathered over chips, salsa, and laughter. Now that story is hitting a rough patch. The chain has closed nearly a third of its locations and filed for bankruptcy, a stark warning that casual dining isn't what it used to be. Fast casual chains, delivery apps, and home meal options have eaten into its customer base. Analysts estimate hundreds of employees will be affected, and profits have taken a heavy hit. Even a brand built on flavor and fun can't escape changing habits. On the border's closures set the stage for the next casualty of shifting tastes. Del Taco. Del Taco, when loyalty and marketing fail. Del Taco got its start in 1964 in Yermo, California, founded by Ed Hackbarth and David Jameson, aiming to serve up quick, affordable tacos and burritos to Americans on the go. For decades, it was the spot where families grabbed a late-night snack, students picked up a cheap burrito after school, and road trippers fueled up with tacos and fries. You could smell the sizzling beef and warm tortillas before you even stepped inside. That story, though, is shrinking fast. A major franchisee recently closed 18 locations in Colorado, hitting employees and communities alike. Regional chains like Del Taco are getting squeezed. They don't have the national marketing budgets or deep loyalty that giants like Taco Bell can lean on. Competition from fast casual spots and delivery apps is only getting fiercer, eating into both lunch and dinner traffic. The closures are small compared to Walmart or Macy's, but they signal the same trend. Even fast food has no safe corners. Next up, PNC Bank, where the digital revolution is rewriting the rules. PNC Bank. Branches once busy, now empty. PNC Bank has been around for over 160 years, starting in 1852 in Pittsburgh. For generations, people walked into its marble-tiled lobbies to deposit paychecks, get loans, or chat with a teller who knew your name. The smell of paper money, the click of the stamp, the quiet hum of conversation, it felt like a small community inside every branch. Now that experience is fading. PNC is closing dozens of branches across multiple states, saying most customers have switched to online banking. Mobile apps, ATMs, and digital transfers have made many physical locations almost useless. Employees are being reassigned or laid off, and communities that relied on local branches, especially older adults, are feeling the pinch. It's a quiet shift, but one that changes daily routines. The lobby chatter, the smell of new checks, the personal touch, all disappearing. Meanwhile, even home improvement isn't safe. LL Flooring is next, proving that no brick-and-mortar store is untouchable. LL Flooring, floorboards and tile fade away. LL Flooring started out as a small flooring supplier, growing over the years into a chain of nearly 400 stores nationwide. People came in to pick out hardwood, tile, or carpet, running their fingers over sample boards, smelling the mix of sawdust and varnish, imagining a new floor in their home. For DIYers and contractors alike, it was a familiar stop for big projects. But now, nearly 100 locations are set to close after filing for bankruptcy. Competing with giants like Home Depot and Lowe's and online suppliers proved too much. The stores that survive are thinning out, and employees are being laid off or shifted around, leaving local communities with fewer options for flooring and home renovation supplies. It's the end of an era where brick-and-mortar flooring stores were the go-to, and just as people adjust to that loss, even McDonald's experimental coffee spots, Cosmics, are starting to vanish, showing that even giants aren't immune. Cosmics, McDonald's coffee experiment ends. Cosmics was McDonald's little experiment in turning its golden arches into a coffee destination. The idea? Take the fast food familiarity you already know and mix in espresso machines, cold brew taps, and artisanal pastries. For a while, it felt like a mini cafe you could run into on your way to work, the smell of roasted beans mixing with fries in the air. But high overhead and prices that matched a Starbucks, not a Big Mac, made the math brutal. Now, all 3 experimental Cosmics locations are closing, and employees are being reassigned or let go. McDonald's learned that even a global giant can't bend its formula too far without hitting a wall. It's a small shake in the big fast food world, but it hints at how even familiar names are testing the limits. Just as coffee fades from these arches, smaller home decor chains like Kirkland's are seeing their lights dim too. Kirkland's home decor shrinks. Kirkland's started in 1966 as a small home decor shop in Jackson, Tennessee, selling lamps, wall art, and seasonal decorations. Over the years, it grew into a chain where Americans stocked up on everything from throw pillows to faux greenery, making homes feel a little cozier, a little more you. The smell of wax candles and polished wood greeted every customer, and the rustle of packaging paper was part of the charm. Now, the chain is closing underperforming stores across multiple states. People are holding on to their homes longer, skipping big renovations and shopping online for decor instead. Kirkland's shelves, once stacked with seasonal excitement, are going dark, and employees are facing layoffs. The next wave hits the casual dining scene, with Smoky Bones struggling to keep its barbecue aroma in the air. Smoky Bones, barbecue market struggles. First started in 1999 in Orlando, Florida. Smoky Bones promises slow-smoked ribs, hickory-scented brisket, and a place where the smell of barbecue filled the air long before you even walked in. For years, families and weekend crowds came for the tang of sauce, the sizzle from the grill, and the clatter of plates on wooden tables. Now at least 9 locations are shutting down, with more employees facing layoffs and ovens going cold. Rising food costs, higher labor expenses, and customers unwilling to pay premium prices for barbecue have squeezed the chain tight. Even the smoky aroma can't pull people back when cheaper alternatives and delivery apps are just a tap away. As the grills cool and neon signs dim, the focus shifts to Torrid, a store that once made plus-size fashion a celebration but now faces its own battle. Torrid, plus-size shopping moves online. Torrid was built to give plus-size shoppers a space where fashion wasn't an afterthought. For years, you could walk in, feel the fabric of dresses and jeans under your fingers, hear the quiet hum of racks rolling across polished floors, and find styles that made you feel seen. Malls leaned on Torrid to fill their wings with life and color. Now, the chain is closing up to 50 stores, leaving employees and communities scrambling. The shift is clear. Shoppers want privacy, convenience, and variety that clicks straight to their doors. Online giants and direct-to-consumer brands have made physical browsing less essential. Torrid's racks are emptying, the fitting rooms silent, and the smell of new clothes fades into memory. Stores are closing faster than ever, and that means fewer places to grab food, medicine, or everyday things. With shopping moving online and big chains shutting locations, communities are becoming more fragile. Smart shoppers are starting to pay attention, finding local stores that are still open, building relationships, and having backups for essentials. Every closed store is one less option when you need it most. The retail world is changing, and it's only the beginning. Which of these closures would affect your neighborhood the most? Drop your thoughts in the comment. Hit like if this gave you pause, and subscribe for more insights on how the world around us is changing.